I'm sorry, did Tucker Carlson just call Donald Trump a bitch? Is that what I just heard?
Shut up, bitch. After like the 400th Truth Social, Ron reached the same conclusion that everyone on the globe reached, which is this guy's not strong, he's weak. Strong people don't brag about how strong they are. They just punch you in the face and end the conversation. My father would always say there are two types of guys, and you got to be careful of the second. The first are like, what'd you say? Say it again. You know, push you in the chest. You don't have to worry about those guys. And the other guys don't say anything, just knock you cold, hit you in the face with a beer bottle, and keep hitting you. And Trump is very much, what'd you say? Shut up, bitch. I don't take you seriously. No, I'm not being mean, but like, come on.
Yeah, okay, so he did say that. He did say that. Tucker Carlson has for a while now been on his little revitalization tour, trying to distance himself from Donald Trump, the guy he platformed for years and years and years. And he's trying real hard to run for president in 2028. He thinks that he is going to run for president and get elected in 2028. Now, I think this take is interesting because it shows a level of just clear, open disdain, mockery, and ridicule for Donald Trump. A man who helped platform Donald Trump is now not only distancing himself from Trump, but he's just like making fun of him in public in a way that I think would have been potentially dangerous for, not dangerous like you're going to get imprisoned, but you know what? They would weaponize the regime against you. It would destroy your career. Not that long ago, as a conservative commentator, like this would have been a kiss of death to say this on your podcast or what have you. And now it's getting praise all over the internet. People are talking positively about this clip. And of course, what we're seeing here is the craven political ambitions of a, megalomaniac like Tucker Carlson, an amoral Nepo baby who lives in his insulated, super wealthy bubble, right? But also we're seeing a man who I believe is very intelligent, and he could read the writing on the wall. He understands that Donald Trump is a sinking ship and that Republicans are a bunch of rats who have lashed themselves to like the mizzenmast or whatever, and they're going to go down with the ship. So not only is Tucker Carlson 3 steps ahead of the Republican establishment, but we're seeing Senate Republicans still determined to show loyalty and deference to Donald Trump, to still bend the knee to Donald Trump, despite the fact that his approval rating is 27-30%. He's incredibly unpopular. He's obviously demented. Republicans have decided somewhere along the way, right, that they were going to be they were all in on fascism. They were 100% down with what Donald Trump was doing. They were going to be loyalists to him no matter what. I cannot help but think of a large social media creator who said early in the Trump presidency that she wasn't super worried about Donald Trump's presidency because Republicans in the Senate, especially John Thune, and Republicans in the Senate were going to do the right thing and they were going to constrain him. We have not seen that at all. In fact, we have seen overwhelming submission and collaboration with Donald Trump's agenda, his fascist agenda. We have seen Republicans bolster, support, enable, rubber stamp everything that Donald Trump wants to their own future demise, their own imminent demise, because Donald Trump he's going down. He's going down, and he's taken all of these Republicans with him. And Tucker Carlson can see that. Marjorie Taylor Greene also saw it, but Tucker Carlson can see it. He's trying to get out ahead, and he's trying to platform himself by distancing himself from the Republicans. Just a couple of days ago, he announced that he was fucking done with the Republican Party.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? It's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, right, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation, and they're not doing that. So no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
There we go. That's it. What we're looking at here is Tucker Carlson wanting to pull people off from the Republican Party. He wants to create his own party. He wants to run as an independent. I don't know what he thinks. I would love your opinion. I don't know enough here to know whether he thinks he's going to be a spoiler in 2020. He can't be trying to get a Democrat elected. He must really think that he is electable. He must really think that he has enough charisma and following to get elected as president. And it's interesting to me because what this is really based around here, what the the core of his messaging is that he thinks is going to pull voters, is this this issue around funding for Israel, right? He is coming at it from a position of being a nationalist, a nativist, an isolationist, right? And also an anti-Semite, right? So conservatives, we have this strange overlap right now where we have people on the left who don't want to fund a genocide. They don't want our tax dollars going to fund war crimes in the Middle East, especially when we are not meeting the needs of Americans here at home. And then on the other side, we have folks who don't want our dollars to go fund a war in the Middle East, not because they care about the people in Gaza, not because they care about people in Lebanon, but because they believe, they have a political ideology that says that American dollars need to stay inside the US. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene has always had that America first, right? Donald Trump said America first. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson really believe that we should not be spending money abroad, not for wars and also not for aid of any kind. I mean, this is also why they don't care about USAID being gutted, why they don't care about the SCOTUS ruling, why they don't care about barring immigrants, people seeking asylum from entering the United States, because they are nativists, nationalists, isolationists. And there is an awful lot of the Republican Party right now who is really fucking fed up with our tax dollars going to Israel. Some of those voters, it's for legitimate reasons because they don't want the war crimes. They also think that our tax dollars need to be spent here on us. They're not looking at the fact of, bulk of our tax money going to the war machine is being spent on American government. Peter Thiel, right? Amazon Web Services getting huge chunks of taxpayer money for the war machine in the Middle East. Tucker is hoping to capture those voters. And I know that J.D. Vance has had a few mentions lately that were critical of Israel. And I wonder if he also is understanding which way the voters are moving, how public sentiment, right? J.D. Vance said a couple of days ago that Bibi Netanyahu would do well to understand that Donald Trump is his only ally in the world. That's pretty accurate, because the American people certainly are not down with what is happening. And even though elected officials in both parties are, right, there are AIPAC loyalist members of Congress in both parties who are beholden to Israel and their agenda more than they are beholden to the American people and democracy. And Americans in both parties are getting really fed up. So I don't know if Tucker thinks he's going to capture anybody on the left who is opposed to funding Israel. I just don't see that happening. Maybe that segment of Bernie bros who swung for Donald Trump, maybe that's a cohort that he's trying to capture. I would love to know what you think, because I'm just not really sure where he constitutes enough of a base to get elected president. But is this something that we should then be worried about at all, right? Or is this like an opportunity for us? Is this a chance for us to see the Republican base split, fractured in really significant ways, which means they don't ever have any control. They're never going to get their candidate elected. Or is Tucker going to pull off people who otherwise did not want to vote for J.D. Vance because he has zero charisma, and they're definitely not going to vote for Marco Rubio or, whatever. Would they otherwise have swung for a Democratic candidate, a John Ossoff, or I know Zoran Mamdani's not running, but some other kind of either Democrat or Democratic Socialist candidate for president? Is Tucker wanting to capture those people? So is he going to be a spoiler? And if so, how? What does this look like going forward? I don't know enough yet, but I do find all of this interesting. I find all of this fracturing interesting. We've known for a while that there's 5 factions inside the Republican Party. They're not as unified as you think they are, as they've tried to project that they are, despite the fact that Republicans in Congress have had their lips glued to Donald Trump's ass. There is a lot of warring. There is a lot of factionalism. There is a lot of discord happening behind the scenes. And now it's right out front, and it's presented in such a way that Donald Trump is a figure to be mocked and ridiculed, right? He's a buffoon. He's a loser. He's projecting faux strength. He has no strength. I mean, obviously he doesn't have any strength because he doesn't have the will of the people behind him, and that's where strength and power comes from. What do you make of this? What do you make of Tucker Carlson coming out and speaking in this manner? What do you think are going to be the consequences for the voter base, and what do you think it's going to do to the Republican Party? I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out.